Isekai.
Rebirth of the Malicious Empress of Military Lineage, Chapter 160, Imprisonment. The little red birthmark on Kangzai King's hidden place was something that a normal person would not be able to see. But what kind of person was Shen Wan? If he believed these unfounded words that easily, then he would not have been able to survive so many years in court as an official. He swept a look at the letter that had indicated that the father and son had entered Ding capital and were living in a commoner place in the eastern part of the city. The letter even indicated the address. Shen Wan shredded the letter quickly and said to the servant beside him, "Prepare the horse." Shen Wan would not believe a stranger's letter but also could not believe Kangzai King without reservations. It would be better for him to see to it for himself. When the horse carriage reached to the house at the eastern part of the city as was indicated on the letter, Shen Wan did not get down of the carriage, but rather hid in it before instructing his servants to knock on the doors. The one that opened the doors was a young boy. Because the boy was too thin, there was a little less childlike innocence in his eyes and more maturity, so that he looked like a young male. When Shen Wan saw the boy's face, he drew in a sudden breath of cold air. At that moment Shen Wan knew that what was said in the letter was real. There was no other reason except that this boy looked very much like Kangzai King. Even the space between the brows was very similar. However, compared to Kangzai King's bright and frank worthiness, this child was weak and inferior. No matter what, he also had similar facial features. Kang family had no other grandchild, thus it was not possible for this to be Kangzai King's younger brother. Shen Wan's servant also jumped in shock when he saw this boy's appearance, but he still followed Shen Wan's instruction and asked, "Little brother, do you know where Kangzai King is?" That boy gave him a wary look. "What do you want to do with my mother?" Shen Wan closed his eyes. Without a doubt what the letter mentioned was the truth. Kangzai King indeed had a husband and son in Liu province. It was just that one did not know why this was concealed so well. That servant exchanged a few more sentences with the boy before returning to Shen Wan and asking Shen Wan carefully, "Master, investigate?" Shen Wan said with gasping breath, "Send people to Liu province to investigate the ins and outs of Kangzai King. It is compulsory to investigate everything very clearly." The reason why Shen Wan appreciated Kangzai King was because Kangzai King had a gentle temperament and was talented. Moreover, she was now pregnant with his child. But if Kangzai King really had a husband and child in Liu province, then this would become a joke. He had fed others' wife and was still immeasurably satisfied about it. And since Kangzai King had abandoned her husband and child, she was not as gentle as she seemed on the surface. Shen Wan was actually very picky on certain aspects. On one side he hoped that his wife was able to manage the household well, and on the other side hoped that the other party would maintain a fairy-like air. As for everything that happened today, it was as if Kangzai King had become a different person in that moment and made Shen Wan feel disgusted. In the following few days, Shen Wan seemed to be busy. Every day he would be out, and even if he returned to the Shan residence, he would head straight to the study, thus Kangzai King did not get a chance to see him. Occasionally when she would send some snacks to Shen Wan, he was not as intimate as before. Initially Shen Wan's attitude made Kangzai King restless, but Shen Wan's personal servant told Kangzai King that Shen Wan had accepted a tasks these days and was very busy, thus he had no time for anything else. Only then was Kangzai King relieved. However, in actual fact, Shen Wan had received the letter he awaited for from Liu province. The content of this letter was exactly the same as the letter from the stranger. Kangzai King had a husband originally and was considered an anecdote at the beginning. When Shen Wan finished reading the letter, he became so angry that he almost flipped the table. The Guiki that he brought in was another's wife, and now the other party's husband and child were in the Ding capital. Once this was discovered, one feared that one would become a joke for the entire Ding capital, not to mention the censors who would take the opportunity to criticize him. It would be alright if this was only the case, but because he divorced Chen Rikayu due to taking in Kangzai King, he had made enemies with the Chen family. Now when it spread out, one would say that he had treated a fish's eye as pearl. Feelings of regret started to faintly appear in Shen Wan's heart. Admittedly, It was true that Kangzai King was carrying his child, but he had also buried his future career because of Kangzai King. Between love and power, he at the end would valued power more. Moreover, how would Shen Wan forget that the female sleeping by his side was another's wife? His gaze became solemn for a moment, and just as he was about to give out instructions, he saw one of his servants rush in and yelled, "Master, something happened." Shen Wan frowned and scolded, "What kind of propriety is such hurriedness?" That servant tremblingly passed Shen Wan a letter, and one did not know what had occurred, but his eyes were somewhat evading. Shen Wan looked suspiciously at that servant. This servant was one who often passed messages between his colleagues. After reading 2 lines, Shen Wan's expression suddenly became extremely green. If one were to look seriously, one could discover it also consisted of some fear. In the imperial study, Emperor Wenhua was furious. He violently threw the report in his hands onto the ground. Emperor Wenhua coldly sneered, and the eunuchs by the side dared not even breathe loudly. Millions became corpses when an emperor was angered. It was especially so that at this moment that one dared not bump to Emperor Wenhua. In the report, there were series of items that indicated all the things that Shen Wan had done for the past few years, and overall it seemed that it was nothing serious. After all, Emperor Wenhua was one who fought in rain and blood with his brothers for power. But the report was written cleverly, as each line highlighted the unusual relationship between Shen Wan and Fu Ziyu. Amongst Emperor Wenhua's 9 sons, the more assuring ones were the Crown Prince and Prince Ting. The Crown Prince was legitimately born and he had a weak health, thus Emperor Wenhua would unconsciously be relaxed with him. However, for Prince Ting, even though he was outstanding, he did not ask about court matters, and in addition, with consort Dong Shu as a mother who was not one to fight or snatch, it made Emperor Wenhua feel comfortable. All the hidden fights between the princes were being watched by the emperor, and as long they were not overly excessive, he was one who enjoyed the situation where there were numerous mutual checks and balances. After one gained power, one would not be willing to put it down, thus watching as his sons grew up and reached the fiercest stage, Emperor Wenhua also became vigilant. What he hated most was the closeness between the princes and officials. Although this was an unavoidable fact, as each of his sons had their own supporters. But when this was Prince Ting, a prince who normally did not fight or snatch, Emperor Wenhua found it somewhat unacceptable. On the contrary, his anger became worse than it had been in the past. Fu Ziyuyi's previous attitude of doing as he liked and his uncaring of the affairs of the world had now become one word for Emperor Wenhua: pretense. Kill the chicken to warn the monkey. Emperor Wenhua said solemnly, "Each and every one is treating Zen as a fool. Since this is the cause, then Zen will satisfy their wishes." It was always a turmoil and temperamental during court, as the Heavenly One pressed down on the government. If one had committed a crime, it would be lucky if one was demoted, but most often many would implicate 9 generations of the family in imprisonment and beheading. Shen Wan was such a person. Few days back, when the Shen and Chen families were fighting, one had thought that things would gradually smoothen down. However, who knew that suddenly a group of officials were sent to the Shen residence for an arrest? The curious commoners inquired and heard that Shen Wan performed poorly and implicated the entire Shen residence, but the exact nature of the crime was not clear. However, the commoners were easy to coax, as they believed it when it was said that he performed poorly. However, the smart people could see that this matter was unusual. One had to know that even if performance was truly lacking, it would not implicate the entire residence. This was obviously actions of a crime that would implicate 9 generations of the family. Those commoners who were passing by would look at the Shen residence differently. Not only did they point and talk, the conversation would lead towards the formidable great general, Shenzhen. 2 years ago, the Shen family people wanted to split up with Shenzhen when he was at his desolate situation, and afterwards Shenzhen was struck off from the Shen family. One did not think that Shenzhen had gained blessing out of this misfortune and escaped from this calamity. When these words were spread into Shen Miao's ears, Shen Miao only smiled without any care. Lu Dan clenched her fist tightly and said angrily, "This is the saying that it is not that things are not known, but it is that the time has yet to arrive." At the beginning they tread all over eldest Bo and Bo Mu, and if they knew that they would end up like this, one fears that they would be so furious. Lu Ling thought for a moment before shaking his head. What crime did the third Shen master commit that warrants such great fanfare? Shen Miao said, since His Majesty mobilized so greatly, he must have behaved atrociously. This matter has nothing to do with us. Lu Tan nodded her head. Indeed. Let's just wait and watch a good show. Shen Qiu looked at Shen Miao in a melancholy mood and did not say anything. After Lu Ling and Lu Tan left, Shen Qiu did not leave and pulled Shen Miao into the room. Seeing that the doors were locked, he then asked Shen Miao, "Younger sister, is the Shen family's matter you're doing?" Shen Miao did not know whether to laugh or cry. "Eldest brother, why do you always hold me responsible for everything? His Majesty is the one dealing with ineffective people. I do not have the ability to interfere with Third Shu's work." Shen Qiu's head somewhat ached and he pressed his forehead and said, "Younger sister, eldest brother knows that you have some matters that you are unwilling to tell others. But the matters of court are not as easy as you think. Sometimes it looks like you are winning, but perhaps there would be changes in the variables in the future and would implicate you instead." He nattered on before Shen Miao said helplessly, "Eldest brother, to tell you the truth, this matter has nothing to do with me. Xin Wan is imprisoned because Chen Rikayu stabbed him in the back. When Chen Rikayu and Xin Wan fought endlessly, did you think Chen Rikayu would take it lying down?" This time it was Shen Qiu that was surprised as he asked, "Chen Rikayu?" Chen Rikayu, after all, lived with Shen Wan for so many years and knew about Xin Wan's matter like the back of her hand. If she were to really stab him at the back, it would be much easier than ordinary people. Shen Miao continued, "Xin Wan was harmed by the person by his pillow side and implicated the entire residence. What has it got to do with me?" When Shen Qiu heard it, he first pondered about it carefully before looking at Shen Miao suspiciously. "How do you know of the matter so clearly?" "I have been hoping all the time for them to be in misfortune. Naturally one had sent people over to watch their every move." Shen Miao had mixed with Zi Jingxing too long that her words also consist of some sense of fearing nothing in heavens or earth. Normally Shen Qiu would see Shen Miao with a dignified appearance. This was the first time seeing her being like this. One did not know why, but he felt that this was somewhat familiar. He then shook his head and interrupted his wild imagination. Even if one monitored them, this matter is too much of a coincidence. His eyes widened and he looked ridiculous. "Younger sister, could it be that you are the one pushing the waves and adding to the billows behind the scenes?" Shen Miao laughed. "It is whatever eldest brother thinks then. Anyways, I did not have a hand in those matters at all." Shen Qiu's face grumbled. "Why is your courage this big?" "This is a matter that pierces through the skies." Shen Miao interrupted him. "Why has eldest brother become so womanishly fussy? It is just a small matter. The Shen family deserves to fall to such a state. If Xin Wan had done his job well, how would others be able to catch his weakness? If he was in perfect harmony with Chen Rikayu, then how would one be provoked successfully? One first has to think of what one does wrong before pointing at others, correct?" Shen Miao's words made Shen Qiu dumbstruck. It was not until he was sent out from the courtyard before Shen Qiu recovered himself. He smacked his head and recovered. Shen Miao was obviously twisting words and forcing on the logic. One did not know where she learned all these things, as it was just too daring of her to play with the monarch and officials on the palms of her hand. But she said as though she was innocent. Shen Qiu was surprised. When did Shen Miao learn all these confident nonsense? Moreover, one seemed to have seen these kinds of gestures and attitude before. In the room, after Shen Miao sent Shen Qiu off, she sat at the table with a sigh of relief. Just now the topic was broached. Emperor Wenhua had a character of passing like thunder and moving like wind. Most likely he was unable to tolerate the closeness of the prince and officials, and with all those instances started from a few years ago. From the beginning, one must not forget who one was dealing with. After the rebirth, one had become indifferent to many matters, just like this household of the Shen family. Even if she did not do anything, they would still cause their own death. However, it was different from Fu Ziyu. Fu Ziyu was like the most vicious snake that was hidden in the dark. It looked harmless, but one would be caught off guard and bitten by it. Just like the last time when he got Shen Wan to matchmake herself and Prince Shu. Even if Shen Miao hid herself from Fu Ziyu as much as possible, Fu Ziyu still fixed his attention on her. It was no longer appropriate to endure silently and work out a strategy. Instead, it was better to tear off one's mask and start playing a game with evenly matched adversaries. What was Fu Ziyu most afraid of? He feared that his ambition would be unveiled to everyone. With regards to Xin Wan's matter, even though this would make Emperor Wenhua's heart suspicious, with Fu Ziyu's methods, it would not be so easy for him to be knocked down. He would definitely think of a method of rebuttal. However, how could Shen Miao be able to miss this opportunity? Even if one was unable to knock him down this time, she must definitely remove a layer of skin from Fu Ziyu. Just one Shen Wan was not enough. This round of chess must be even more exciting. Shen Miao called kings to get Mo King in and instructed Mo King with a few words. From the splendid residence to imprisonment, it only took one night. Xin Wan felt that in these 2 years the Shen residence was very unlucky. It was just like one had offended someone or something, so that nothing went smoothly. First it was the second household that had mishaps, then after that it was the third household's turn. Now the entire Shen residence was imprisoned, other than the eldest household. Currently the eldest household was valued again by Emperor Wenhu, and regardless how the future would be like, it was at least more impressive than them. Speaking of which, the continuous misfortune that the Shen residents met with seemed to have started after the separation from the eldest household. However, to be more precise, it started 2 years ago when Shinzin returned to the capital. Could it be that someone put a curse onto the Shen residents? In the prison cell next door, it contained all the females in the Shen family. Old Shen Furen and Kang Zai King were both locked up there. When Xin Wan heard the moaning and complaining from old Shen Furen, his heart started to feel irritation. Thinking back 2 years ago, people who came to visit the residence of the formidable great general were abundant, even though most of them did it for Shenzin's reputation. However, Shenzin was not in the capital all year and the Shen residence was not short of money. Thus one had an imposing manner when walking about. Although Shan Gui and him were civil officials, they would be promoted each passing year, and both of their daughters were elegant and their marriages could be a great help. Shen Yuanbo and Shen Yuan were still alive, and Ren Wanyun was astute, and Chen Rikayu was gentle. It was a good image of a happy and harmonious family. However, in just 2 short years things had remained the same, but the people had changed and they landed in such a situation. Shen Gui asked dispiritedly, "Third younger brother, what crime did you actually commit that His Majesty actually captured our entire residence?" "I committed some crime?" Xin Wan laughed coldly. "Second older brother is also a person who worked in court and knows that if His Majesty wants to arrest anyone, just any casual excuse will be enough for it. This is His Majesty's excuse to arrest me." If it was truly that one's performance was poor, then the entire residence of people would not be arrested. This is clearly intending to attack with condemnations. When Kang Zai King, in the adjoining cell, heard it, she exclaimed in shock, and her words contained some anxieties. "It is unexpectedly His Majesty's doing on purpose." Why would His Majesty do this on purpose? Could it be that Master had angered His Majesty in some ways? If it was on normal days, Xin Wan would surely say some words to relieve her anxiety, but once he thought of the information that he received from Liu province that Kang Zai King already had a husband and child, he felt very disgusted. Kang Zai King wholeheartedly chased for a wealthy future, so she concealed her true appearance, but now that the wealth has become bubbles and shadows, one feared that it was too late for regrets. He waved his hands and said impatiently, "One does not know." However, his heart was thinking about the letter that he received. The letter that his servant gave was from his private and considerably close personal friend in the official circle. One did not know where that official heard that Shen Wan's archenemy had submitted a report. That report did not indicate other things but the evidence of the exchanges between Shen Wan and Fu Ziyu over these years. Even though Shen Wan did not really work for Fu Ziyu these years, but because he was indecisive in the early years and did not want to give up the Prince Ting as a chess piece, his attitude was rather warm. From the eyes of others, it looked like he had an alliance with Prince Ting very early on. When Emperor Wenhua saw the pile of evidence, it was conceivable that Emperor Wenhua would be furious, thus one feared that it would be difficult for the matter to be settled well. As to how his archenemy would be able to suddenly gain all the information, Shen Wan could vaguely think of a person. Chen Rikayu had been his wife for so many years, and because Chen Rikayu did not know about court matters, Shen Wan would not deliberately guard against Chen Rikayu. Some of the matters were very secretive, thus if Chen Rikayu stabbed him in the back, then everything would be plausible. Thinking that how Chen Rikayu treated him with graceful tenderness in the beginning and now it was a matter of either the fish dies or the net splits, Shen Wan's gaze landed on Kangzai King and his expression got solemn. If there was no Kangzai King, Chen Rikayu and he would not be a separated couple and things would not be like this. Thinking like that, Shen Wan also felt indifferent even to the child that Kangzai King was carrying. On the surface the imprisonment of Shen Wan and family was due to poor performance, but those who were aware of the situation knew that this was Emperor Wenhua's wrath for Shen Wan being close with Fu Ziyu in secret. This matter implicated the Entree Shen residence and of course, Prince Ting. Fu Ziyu was also inevitably affected. Fu Ziyu had a network of numerous spies and informants, thus he quickly learned about the truth of the matter. Fu Ziyu had never thought that Shen Wan's and Chen Rikayu's family affairs could involve him. Currently the crucial thing was to never let Emperor Wenhua be suspicious of him at this time. At the same time, Fu Ziyu was also very puzzled. This year Emperor Wenhua's health was not as good as it was previously, so he was very sensitive towards the relations between the princes and the officials. Just at this sensitive period, it was spread that he was close with Shen Wan. He felt that it was indeed too much of a coincidence, even though Shen Wan was in the pits, but in actual fact, what he lost was not necessarily lesser than Shen Wan. The more he thought about it, the more irritated he felt. Fu Ziyu said coldly, "Not good enough to accomplish anything but more than enough to spoil everything." Pei Lang said after thinking, "It is best for your highness to indicate early that there is no relation to the matter. No matter what method is used, one have to prove one's innocence." "Naturally I know that," Fu Ziyu said. "What does gentleman think?" "The evidence is undeniable, so by denying it, it would look like it is deliberate. Your Highness can admit to it and push all of it onto Shen Wan, even though it is His Majesty's taboo for princes to form fractions. But if it was Shen Wan who took the initiative to defect to you and your Highness could not withstand the annoyance, perhaps His Majesty would feel better." Fu Ziyu nodded his head. "Gentleman's analysis is exactly the same as mine. Shen Wan, this chess piece can only be sacrificed. However, it would be more troublesome to leave this chess piece alone, therefore it is better to get rid of it." The meaning of these words was to sacrifice Shen Wan. There was no choice but to admit to the incidences in the report, as there were plenty of evidence threads in each one and those who were interested could discover it if they dig. However, all these were Shen Wan's desires. It was Shen Wan who wanted to climb and attached himself onto Fu Ziyu, and it was Fu Ziyu who remained unmoved. All these would be pardonable and Shen Wan would be the one who would be implicated. It's just that with this method, the crimes that were placed on Shen Wan would be much heavier, and with Emperor Wenhua's wrath, the punishment for Shen Wan would be even more severe. However, Fu Ziyu would definitely not care of the ending of Shen Wan. Fu Ziyu would not be even troubled to those who brought trouble to him. "I am really fated with the Shen family." Fu Ziyu had an aloof expression on, again and again, Matters were ruined in the hands of the Shan family. One did not know why, but even though this time it started from Chenrikyu, I still feel that it is not that simple. It is like someone is manipulating from behind the scenes. Pei Lang's heart jumped, but his face remained as calm as it was previously. The top priority now is still for your highness to testify personally. The longer this is dragged on, the worse His Majesty's anger would be, and it would even implicate your highness. Fu Ziyu smiled. Even though it is a little more troublesome, it is not a deadlock situation. However, one asks, gentlemen, if the Shen family should remain or not. Pei Lang replied warmly, since they have hindered His Highness's great cause, then of course they cannot remain. Fu Ziyu grinned and stared at Pei Lang. Gentlemen's words are exactly to my thoughts. I still have some matters, so gentlemen can withdraw first. If there is matter, I will then discuss with gentlemen. Pei Lang nodded his head in compliance and turned around to withdraw. However, he did not see that Fu Ziyu was starting at Pei Lang's back as he left with a clouded look in his eyes. The matter of Shen Wan and family being imprisoned was well known to everyone, thus it was also naturally spread into the residence of Prince of Qian. In front of the stone table in the gardens, Shen Yu was stunned when she heard the news, and it was Huang Fuhao who gave a look to the scout and asked, "Oh, really, the entire residence is imprisoned?" "It is absolutely true," that scout said. One heard that Emperor Wen, who is very furious and wanted to give a death sentence. Huang Fuhao turned around to look at Shen Yu's expression. Apart from being overwhelmed and finding it incomprehensible, there was no sadness or heartbroken expression. Involuntarily, Chenrikaiyu's words from that day floated up in her mind. At that time, Shen Yu felt that there was an additional meaning behind Chenrikaiyu's words. Could it be that the current situation of the Shen family was due to Chenrikaiyu's handiwork? Shen Yu dared not let Huang Fuhao discover her emotions and lowered her head to display a look of grief. How could this be? With only the reason of poor performance, how could Emperor Wenhua seize the residence? One fear that it is not just this reason. Huang Fuhao said, there should be another reason. After finished saying, he then looked at Shen Yu and asked, does you want to take a look at Shen Darren? Shen Yu jumped in shocked and stammered, one fears that if one were to go now, it would only make father sad and bring trouble to your highness, so it is not needed. The Shen family was being seized and she was a female who had married into the Wang family, thus she was not implicated. However, if someone discovered that Shen Yu was still here, who knew if she would also be locked up? In face of a great calamity at hand, each one would fly in different directions. The Shen family was merciless to Shen Yu, so Shen Yu did not have any morality towards the Shen family. One feared that it would implicate oneself and was looking at hiding herself, so why would one approach it? Hearing this, Huang Fuhao did not get tangled with this issue and only laughed before dropping the subject. Shen Yu sighed with relief in her heart. After Huang Fuhao left, Shen Yu thought of writing a letter to Chenrikaiyu to ask if this matter was related to Chenrikaiyu. Even though there was still some fear in her heart, seeing that the entire Shen family was imprisoned, Shen Yu felt that there was some joy in the calamity. This was especially so for Kangzai King, as she was the woman who took her mother's position and now had to suffer with Shen Wan. Thinking of that, Shen Yu did not find that it was lowly for her to be Huang Fuhao's concubine and even felt complacent. If she had remained in the Shen residence, now she would also be imprisoned. Shen Yu had thought so, but on the very next day there was a secret which was spread in Ding capital. This secret was just like a stone that was thrown into the water and set off thousands of waves. The people who stood outside to watch the commotion found another interesting thing to talk about, and the entire streets kept on constantly talking about it. This also made the Shen family become a joke for others to talk about after meals and tea.